Hi, this is Anna, Imagination with the Healing Garden, and thank you for joining me for Shifting Perspectives. Okay, so we're going to go over the types of mindsets that women have, and this is really the true I'm so sorry men. So there are several types of women. The first type of women, I'm just going to say it, slave women. Slave women and 100% submissive. And we are going to call this the house elf. The house elf kind of a woman is a woman who is a slave mindset, 100% agreeable, nice, submissive, completely will consent, people please, and she doesn't even know she's a slave. She's happy to do it. That's the absolute most extreme. Let's call this white wing, right wing. And the reason why is because the majority of women who are Republican right wing are like this. Now, flipping on the other side to the other extreme, you have 100% independent, free thinker, almost feminist, where it's, yeah, like my womanhood. Now, there's two types of women over here. There's the abused, and then there's the not abused. And this is where it gets really fucking hard for men. Is she 100% independent and free-thinking feminist because her parents raised her right? Well, her parents raised her free? Or was she abused, went through hell, clawed her way out, got her own freedom, became aware of the amount of slavery she endured to earn her freedom? I'm an earner. And that's it. Are you a freedom earner? Or were you raised free? Freedom fighter or raised free? There you go. That's a really good way of putting it. Are you a freedom fighter or were you raised free? Now, every one of these women that I go through as far as the mindsets go has their own psychology and gets completely different treatment. And this is where men are going, what the fuck am I dealing with and how do I navigate this? Don't worry, men, we're going to get to you. Now, I'm going to take a look back over at the right wing. We're back to the slave woman. These are the happy little obedient house elves. Obedient. And they judge their success, not success. Women don't use, those kind of women don't use the word success. Approval. Women, those kind of women, view their approval rating based on how obedient they are. Oh, yeah. Now, the next stage down from that, when you're here with your slave woman, 100% the house elf mindset, I'm going to call this the Dobie mindset. Thank you, Rowling. Like, this is the millionth time this woman's books have really made my job easier. The Dobie mindset. This is the slave woman who knows she's a slave. She's trying to get out of it. She can't. She's stuck. And we're going to call this the Dobie mindset. She wants her socks. She's going to pursue her socks, but she doesn't know how to get her socks. Now, it's so funny because I'm looking at this and I go, oh, I know exactly what this is. So the slave woman, the house elf, is a second stage perspective. That's what men are dealing with, that second stage perspective. The slave woman Dobie mindset is your fourth and fifth perspective woman. Most likely, yeah, your fourth and fifth perspective woman. Fourth to five perspective woman. The independent free thinker is your 6 and 7 mindset. This is the perspective growth. And yeah, that's it. That's really it. So really, when a man goes into a situation with a woman, the question is he dealing with a second perspective, a fourth, fifth perspective, or a sixth, seventh perspective? Now, then there's so you have to take into account her independence level, her autonomy level. Yeah, I really feel bad for men. Like, my empathy for you guys just went through the roof. Holy shit. Men are easy. Men are you in the patriarchy or aren't you? That's it. That's literally it. Are you in the patriarchy or are you out of the patriarchy? If you're in the patriarchy, we're done. If you're out of the patriarchy, okay. But, and this is really it. So for women, there's 4. It's, are you a slave woman and you're happy about it? Are you a slave woman and you're unhappy about it? Are you an independent free thinker and you're a freedom fighter because you were abused? Or were you raised free and you weren't abused? Oh my God. And they don't know how to figure this out. So this is where men really get this messed up, completely understandably. They would approach an abused freedom fighter as if she were a submissive slave, as if she's the house elf. And then the freedom fighter blows up. He approaches the slave, the house elf mindset, and she is completely like, I don't understand. Why aren't you like pinning me down and raping me? Don't you love me? And it's like, oh yeah, I understand what they are dealing with. Absolutely. Independence, autonomy, awareness. Yeah, this is it right here. Is she aware? Is she independent? And does she have autonomy? If she's aware, then it puts her in the independent, abused, not abused. If she's unaware, then she's a slave woman. She's very much the house elf. Is she independent? Now, here's where it gets tricky because there's 5. That presents another category. So there's actually 5 women. There is the dependent slave woman who's happy about it. And then there is the Dobie mindset dependent and the Dobie mindset independent. The Dobie mindset independent is the one destined to break free. That was me. Oh, yeah. Dobie independent. So that's it right there. The awareness, unawareness, obedience, and yeah, that's it. Would I put obedience under autonomy? You know what? I'm going to do it. Submissive versus obedient. We're going to put that there. Autonomy. Does she have self-voice or no autonomy? And then is she independent or is she not independent? Holy shit. Oh my God. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to put together a dating kit. This is going to be a nice little thing that anybody can access for free on my website. You're on a date, it's actually a conversation starter. Hey, I found this thing, I want to show it to you. And it literally introduces these concepts, gives you something to talk about, allows you to talk about the really good stuff, and get where you need to go safely through the early stages of dating while you both become educated and aware. Red card is going to be the very first thing I present to you, which means if this topic is too painful or too problematic, you can just throw down a red card and say, I don't want to talk about it. We can talk about it later maybe, but right now for where we are, red card it. So I'm going to do that. And then we're going to go over types of men, types of women. And a woman will be able to say, this is where I'm at. How's your awareness? How's your independence? How's your autonomy? How's your submission? Yeah, this is going to do a lot. Oh, yes, it is. Yeah. Holy shit. So a man will approach a woman, and he has no idea which of these 5 mindsets he is addressing. Now, that's not into account an abusive past. And every woman, almost every woman, the only one who might be unabused is the raised free because she would have been given the proper education to avoid in most cases. Doesn't mean it's always the case. So you can almost guarantee that 4 of these 5 mindsets is severe sexual abuse. Almost guaranteed. Yeah, so you're also looking at abuse level. Not a pleasant topic to talk about, especially on a first date. Hey, let's talk about how abused you were. On a scale of 1 to 10, how abused are you? Like, and this is my problem. This is 100% where I keep coming back to my problem is, yeah, I don't know how to navigate this yet. And this is why I'm doing these videos, is to try and figure out how to navigate this, because now I'm in stage 2. So yeah. So this is like a huge, so this is what men are dealing with. I can understand why they're frustrated and why they're, yeah. Now, with men, we're going to flip this around because men also, men are, for me, men are easy. Like I've got this down to a science because this was my survival. By the way, this is why I struggle with women is because, yeah, interesting. Interesting. The kind of woman I'm attracted to isn't even in this kind of a group mindset. She's not even here, which is why I struggle being attracted to women's minds. I'm attracted to minds, but then I look at this and I'm going, yeah, I'm not attracted to any of these mindsets. I would probably be most attracted to the not abused, raised free, but then they don't relate to me. They don't relate to me. So they're unrelatable. So I'm looking at it going, yeah. And I could, yeah, see, this is where I'm understanding how this is all sticky. So then for men, let's look at men. Oh, for me, this is so easy. So basically, this is the flow chart. So men, patriarchy. Yes, no. If they're not the patriarchy. Wow. Okay, if they're not in the patriarchy, great. Do they have consent problems? Yes. They ask for consent. I have to put here, yes, they ask for consent. Fantastic. No, they don't ask for consent. We're done. If they ask for consent, to what degree do they ask for consent? And I'm going to put over here 0, where it's physical consent only and barely. Like, is it one time and that's it? It covers everything. I hate those people. And or is it a 10, where we're going to call that just the Bay Area? The Bay Area. That's literally going to get its own label, the Bay Area. So the Bay Area is a 10. New York City is a solid 8. Just to give you an idea, New York City is a solid 8. Most men who I'm involved with in New York City are like a solid 8. And it's funny because every time I get around somebody in the Bay Area and they're doing that 10, I go, "Are you from the Bay Area?" And they're like, "Yeah, yeah." And then, yeah, the one who barely asks for consent, those are the people who are fresh out of the patriarchy, or they are dabbling in polyamory to actually prey on women. That's a red flag. So patriarchy, yes, here's the other one. How much? Is it 0 or is it 10? 0 would be, I'm going to put Anna here, because I'm like the archetype of being outside of the patriarchy. I have yet to find anyone who surpasses me as far as outside of the patriarchy. Like, I'm creating my own vocabulary outside of the patriarchy, kind of a thing. And then you've got 10s who are, I'm just going to put Trump supporters. That's all I have to say about that. Like, yeah. So, yeah. So for a woman, you have really 2 questions. How far into the patriarchy are you? And it's interesting because also with patriarchy, it's relationship anarchist, and the Trump supporters are definitely like full monogamy. And then you've got polyamory that spans a good chunk of this. Oh yes, this is making me very happy. So it's like on a scale of 1 to 10, where are you on the patriarchy? On a scale of consent, where are you from, I'm going to ask once, maybe, to, it's the Bay Area. Yeah, that's about it. Yeah, that's it. That tells me everything I need to know about a man. Patriarchy and consent. That's it. Everything's done. And it's really, well, for me, it's easy because you can just boom, 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 boom. But, and here's my problem. This is my problem. Is it a problem? I got to think about this. I got to think about this. Because you have a man who's trying to figure out which of your 5 mindsets you're in. And this is it. Now, I only go to poly events. I only go to nonconformist events to guarantee, to basically weed out. But the problem is, at a lot of those events, there's a lot of 4th and 5th perspectives who just have a kinky side. So they will bring the patriarchy over into that lifestyle, and it's like, you don't belong here. You're just here for the kink. Like, yeah. And that's something I really struggle with. All right, I feel a lot better. This is like, boom, I got this. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Is where are they on the patriarchy? And that's toxic masculinity. The toxic masculinity is like way out there. And the toxic masculinity are the ones who groom those number 2s, the house elf, the happy house elf. That's where those women come from. So what I need is a different colored pen. I have a graph, so let me show you my graph. This is going to be on my website. So this is the flow chart right here. There we go. So this is it right here. Very, very simple. Now with women, let me see if I can do this. The number 2 women come out of here. I came out of here, which put me at the abused levels of free thinker. Yeah, this is abused free thinker. Now, the women who come out of the patriarchy here basically are the happy house elf. So that's going to determine this. Now, if they were raised properly, they're going to be down here. If they were raised healthy so that they're independent free thinkers naturally, they're going to be raised here or they're going to be raised here. So where the woman falls on this chart, which men basically raised her, is going to determine which men raised her and, yeah, which mindset raised her and which, yeah, this is making a lot of sense. Which mindset raised her, which environment raised her, is going to determine what kind of a woman she walks away with us. So you've got a varying degree on the patriarchy and on consent. And that's going to help you determine what it is you're dealing with. Now, see, I can look at a person after 30 years of psych and philosophy, glance at them in seconds and go, this is where they are, this is how they go, boom, 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 boom. And I know exactly what questions I need to ask to figure out exactly what I need to ask. Boom, 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 boom. But I have 30 years. So how do I condense my 30 years into 5 minutes of reading for you? This is my problem. 30 years of psych condensed into a 5-minute article for your entertainment on a date. How do we do this? I'm going to do this too. This is a challenge and I'm going to be like, yes, let's do this. How are we going to do this? Oh, yes. All right, I'm going to get crayons, and I'm going to color my graph, and I'm going to lay all this out, and I'm going to figure it out. But this is like a good, solid trying to figure this out. And then there's going to be questions that you're going to want to ask deliberately, or scales and things of, yeah. It's really fascinating to see how the different women come out of all these. Like I can see, yeah. I want to go back over. Here's my other graph. This is the one for the women. This is what this one looks like. Yeah, you've got the slave woman, you've got the slave woman Dobie, slave woman, independent versus dependent. And then you've got the 2 mindsets down here, independent free thinker versus, the freedom fighter or the raised free. I've met a few raised free, and they're so weird to me. They're so different to me. They are so like, yeah, it's so bizarre because I'm a freedom fighter. So that's it. Are you house elf? Are you Dobie independent, Dobie dependent? Are you a free thinker, freedom fighter, or are you raised free? And it's, yeah, to find a raised, and how do you, I don't even, like, they are so, I don't understand them. I see they are the daughters of hippies. That is what the raised free is, the daughters of hippies. Both of my 16-year-old is raised free. My oldest is still in the Trump supporting, abusive, yeah, she's still there. I can't get her out. And so it's and yeah, it's really like, literally there is a culture of men where they are raising women to be slaves. It's their mindset. That is Stockholm syndrome, by the way. That is very much the second stage perspective. Is, oh, I have to have a leader, and the man basically is by default into that role because of the way their hierarchy is with patriarchy of God, man, woman, and therefore a woman defaults into that setting, and now she's a slave. Now she's got the slave mentality, the Stockholm syndrome, and she's wrapped up in the second perspective, so she has to be submissive and serve. So it's really interesting to see how all these evolve. So now we know what we're dealing with. We have 5 mindsets for women. We have pretty much two mindsets for men. Yeah, 2 mindsets for men. How much are you basically able to self-govern? And that's really it. That's self-government. And then it's accountability. That's all it is. Self-govern versus accountability. That is it. Is the man accountable, and can he self-govern? Those are the 2 questions you need to ask. Has he learned the 4th ethic? Has he learned the 5th ethic? And if he hasn't, that puts him in the other category. Yeah. If he hasn't learned the 4th ethic, he's in the other category. So either he hasn't learned ethics 1 through 4, or has he learned the 5th ethic? Now, if he's learned the 5th ethic, he's good. If he has not learned the 5th ethic, and that's so funny because last night, that's one of the things I asked him. I said, bottom line, how do you feel about self-government? And he was like, oh, yeah. I said, do you have your own job? And he goes, yeah, I worked like six years doing my own job. And, he's like, I've done it. And I'm like, all right. I said, how do you feel about accountability? And, yeah, he had got into it. And I went, you're good. Those are the 2 questions I need to know about a man. Can you self-govern, and are you accountable? There you go. That's all I need to know. So, and it was so funny. There was a couple other things, like he mentioned people pleaser. Well, that immediately defaults to the 1st ethic has been damaged. And then problems with trusting people. Now you're at the 3rd ethic. But that's where you need to do mental work, which he's doing. So it's like, yep, you're fine. This is what I mean by, oh, I need to know your ethics. So now I've been able to evaluate his mental health. I've been able to assess, okay, yeah, you're healthy enough to let me closer to you. But with women, basically it's groomed by the 2nd mindset, groomed by the 3rd mindset. That's it right there. I said it. There are 5 mindsets, and there are 5 ethics that I'm dealing with here. So with a woman, it's, are you a 2nd perspective? Are you a 3rd perspective? The 3rd perspective is the Dobie mindset. The 2nd perspective is the house elf mindset. And then the free thinker feminist, 6 to 7. Yeah, that's it. So the question is, how do you figure it out? Well, if you're in a poly situation, that's a clear run right there. If you are in a poly event, solid, you're good. Everyone there is going to be poly. Everyone there is going to be in the 6th perspective. If you go to a church event, you're going to get a 2nd perspective woman. If you meet her at the bar, well, chances are she won't be at a bar if she's 2nd perspective. But is she 3rd perspective? So atmosphere and environment is going to be a big one. So now, if she's at a poly event, see, and I met a 2nd perspective at the poly event. A 2nd perspective, yeah, very much so. I met a 2nd perspective at the poly event. I could tell, like, oh my God, the religious oppression was absolute. Yeah, this is fascinating. This is fascinating. So my question now, and this is the pending one that I'm really trying to figure out. When is it safe to start going over triggers? Wow. I'm going to figure this out. All right. I'm going to close this video down and I'm going to do some thinking. Thank you so much. If you want to join my community, take a look at my Linktree account. Thank you so much. May the kindest of words always find you.